Welcome to Loup TV. I'm your host, Gene Munster, joined today by Patrick Skelly. Patrick, welcome to Loup TV. And our topic today is LineLeap. This is a company, an app that you have launched. You are a founder. Welcome to the wonderful world of founding a company and making our entertainment lives, our social lives much better. This company came across our vector a few months ago and really caught my attention. Loup is not an investor in this, but I feel that they have a tiger by the tail. Patrick's going to walk us all through it here. And maybe just from a high level, can you give everyone just a 101 on what LineLeap is about?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks so much for having me, Gene. Really appreciate getting to be on the show. So LineLeap is our motto is fun faster. So everything that we try to do is making specifically people's lives that are going out more fun. So in its simplest form, LineLeap gives customers the ability to skip the line. So a customer waiting in the back of the line can go on our app, purchase a fast pass, get in sooner, and enjoy their night.
I think rest in peace, Walt Disney. The concept of jumping the line and monetizing that is nothing new. I haven't seen much of it. I know this is just one piece of your business, but going to kind of zero in on that aspect here. For those of you old like myself, you may forget that when you go out to bars, to clubs, there is often lines at these clubs and you have to wait. You can kind of walk to the front of the line and give a little bit of scratch to the bouncer. I don't know if they call them bouncers anymore, Patrick. Is that the phrase?
Yeah, or door guys, depending on the size of the person at the door,
Okay,
is
got
kind
it.
of what determines that.
Sounds good. Well, let's say you give a little bit of something to the door person, and then what do? They say stand on the side here, or do they just kind of let you in? Typically, what's that interaction like? This is the old
Yeah,
world.
well, so in the old world, it kind of depended who was at the door. Maybe $20 would get you in. Maybe, you know, if you knew someone and you also had cash, that could get you in. We've kind of tried to democratize the whole process and make it much more straightforward and easy for everyone.
Okay, but just sticking for a minute on the old way of doing it, it was a cash-based economy, right? These door people, they're not carrying like a swipe, they're not taking credit cards for jumping in
No,
line.
all cash.
Cash-based only. And what do
Yeah.
you think I know that you do a lot of work with different college universities and those bars. What would a typical a university, what would a door man make on a Saturday night?
Um, it depends. I think that the price that people are willing to pay is typically between $10 and $30. So, however many impatient people are out that night can determine a lot. I will say, football weekends, main events, there tend to be a lot more impatient people and a lot more kind of people out. And in those nights, you could have 50 or 100 people wanting to skip the line versus other nights much smaller.
Okay. So let's take that 100 example at the higher end, $30. My quick math says that the door guy can pull in around $3,000 in a night. Not a bad gig for being a social person, but not what a typical bar or club owner would like. What's going through the club owner's mind when they kind of think about the dynamic of the line?
Yeah, I think one of the nice things about LineLeap is it just provides full transparency. So the venue owner gets to see exactly how much they're making, and we consider the door people our friends. I'm not sure they would necessarily say the same thing, but in a perfect world when the owner is cutting in the door guys and the process is streamlined and straightforward, we've seen a huge bump just on, maybe they were making a couple grand off the normal line skipping, but when it's transparent, it's open to everyone, their staff's bought in, everyone's making more money, and more importantly, the venue owner is who was making nothing from this now has really, and it's sometimes transformed their business, just kind of this specific product of ours.
Free money, high margin, of the highest margin revenue.
Yeah.
And it's another example when you take friction out of a transaction, is that the amount that people are willing to pay increases. We'll talk a little bit of that on your drink ordering feature in a minute here, but just to kind of finish the thought with the line.
Mhm.
So the bar owner can say, I want to cut in the doorman 30% of our proceeds or whatever it would be, and
Mhm.
they kind of have, you give them control of that, and I would guess that LineLeap takes a cut of that as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So our whole thing is whatever you were making before off the people that had the gall to walk up and barter with the bouncers, kind of streamlining it all. We think we can make them 10 times as much, and how they choose to divvy that up is honestly up to them.
Got it. So the person, I guess, final thought on the line itself, the person working the door would just have a phone before you go out with your group of 4 people. You would go and is there a price to jump the line, or is it like a bidding process?
Yeah. So it's funny. It's some people have said that we should auction off line passes, which it would be fun to see, especially those big football games where Michigan's playing Ohio State. I'm very curious what price it could get up to. But typically we'll set a price, and it's a lot like Uber. So on a typical night it might be $10 or $20. On a game day weekend it could be over $100. And it's kind of funny for a lot of these viewers. These college bars are not the highest, I would say, highest kind of class or decorative establishments, but game days, that's where everyone wants to be when they're visiting their school again.
Makes a ton of sense. I guess the nostalgic factor kicks in high gear. So the owner can change what the premium is for to jump the line based on the night.
Yeah, and it could change 10 different times over the course of the day.
Got it. And another piece just on the feature, when you get inside, you have a drink ordering. I love how you kind of deconstruct the process. Walk us through on all that goes into all the different steps that happen when you go and order a drink.
Yeah,
This
it
is the
is.
old world. Talk about the old world. Start there.
Yeah. Yeah, so the old world of walking up with a credit card, they swipe the card, they get a receipt, bartender goes back to the customer, gives them the receipt, gives them a pen, they write in their tip, take the receipt, they go back into the point of sale, and they enter in what they tipped with line. Well, so that's the old world, and that process between typing things into the point of sale, printing out the receipt, giving the receipt to the customer, getting the tip, entering that in, that whole process is kind of what we're trying to simplify
Mm.
and make everyone's life
Let
easier.
me add another piece to it too.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to communicate like what you're actually trying to order too. Isn't it? You're maybe in
Yeah.
a loud bar, you're kind of yelling into the ear of a bartender, or am I remembering this right?
Yeah. No, definitely. And that's another layer of confusion that sometimes you think you've ordered one thing and then they come back with something else and you just waited for 20 minutes. So, if you're a nice guy, you usually just take what they gave you, but that is definitely another pain point.
So you're taking a lot of making the bartenders, the servers' jobs a lot easier here. Just to finish the thought, I have the app on my phone. I'm at a bar that's powered by LineLeap.
Mhm.
I go and I set my drink order, and then do I go up to the bar? Or do I? How do they know who I am?
Yeah, so you go up to the bar, and you'll have what you ordered on the phone. So for the communication piece, you're showing them your order, and then you've already tipped through the app and you've paid. So essentially, the bartender gets your drink. Suppose you got a Bud Light, they would give you your Bud Light. They tap the redeem screen, and that's the end of the
Got
process.
it. So they're holstering their phone and using that alongside. And so it's not like a QR code. It's basically they just see the drinks and they know that that must be you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, makes a ton of sense. I'm curious what's happened. What observations have you seen in the tipping amount?
Yeah, so that's something we are unbelievably excited about. We've actually increased the bartender tips up to 50% in a lot of our markets. So we'll have customers now going up to the bar trying to order the traditional old school way, and bartenders saying, we do take card, but have you heard about LineLeap? And that's driven with venues that are doing, over 80% of all their drinks now through the app. And a lot of that is there's some wonderful staffs in our eyes that have really helped push LineLeap and are so excited about it. They're pushing people to order that way.
That I want to emphasize that point. That's a big deal. Is that a lot of times what we've seen is that when you have these early apps, that it's really hard to get people to engage in them. Trying to train as an in-store person to educate people about the value of putting an app in, that is a really hard lift. And in this case, it's pretty straightforward because they know, the servers, the bartenders know that there's a benefit to them, and so they're being some pretty big advocates for LineLeap app. Amazing, that 80% statistic. Curious, does the bar owner step in? What observations have you seen? You get a 50% uptick in the number of tips. Does the bar owner say, I'll take that 50%? Do they typically give it to the staff? Any observations you've seen on that front?
It is funny because with the lines, we really, felt like we made money out of thin air for the owners. And this one with the bartenders has felt really good. You could argue that they need the money more. A lot of these people are working multiple jobs. I would say, I mean, maybe we've had a couple greedy bartenders that have asked for part of that tip, but I mean, that's designated to the bartender, so there's no way. I think for the most part, though, they're very excited. We are trying to cut credit card fees, so that's a way through LineLeap that the bar makes more money too. And then I think you touched on it earlier, but doing more drinks. So their staff being way happier has all sorts of ancillary benefits, but for their bottom line too, reducing their credit card fees and selling more drinks is what has them most excited. And the data piece, which is really new and exciting as well.
Let's before we talk about the big picture, or beyond, I guess beyond the line, the drink, are there other features you're thinking about adding in the future that you can talk about?
No, I would say the one kind of what LineLeap has been, and I know we haven't talked about it, and it's nice not talking about it because we've talked about COVID so much these last kind of 8 months. But this particular time, the other feature we were doing was a spot saver program. So it was a socially distanced entry system. Each customer kind of arrived in certain increments. And that was a big push that we did to make everyone a lot safer and keep these businesses open. So we worked with a lot of the local health departments, and it was kind of a win-win for both the venues and the customers. So we're excited to get that product done because it means that COVID's ending. But that was kind of the third piece that we were offering.
Do you envision a data play around who's ordering what drinks, and anything you can talk about there?
I think again, just for the customer experience side of it, it is really interesting to see. I know the brands don't always feel like there's a whole lot of brand loyalty between customers, but what we see on our end is that there can be, and especially with favorites and order again features and stuff like that, we are seeing that customers, when they like something, it's the first thing they order that night. They typically stick with it. So I think there's a lot there, and the brands are super excited about it.
You couldn't have launched this at a worse time. You talked about some of the features about making things safer, and what really another piece that stood out to me is the traction that you've had with a gale force wind in your face here. I think over 100 venues now use LineLeap. Is that correct?
Yeah, and rising exponentially, thankfully. So
That's fantastic. Any growth metrics? It's coming off a low base, so it's probably just pretty big numbers, correct?
I would say we've pre-COVID kind of 10x'd where we were at, and we're still, even each month now, just with things opening. It's interesting because our heads were down for so long on the business that now that things are opening up, we're getting so much bigger so quickly that a lot of it just has to do with our market was shut down for, the last 8 months, and now it's starting to come back again, and it's like, whoa, these really are great venues. They just weren't allowed to have people in them for the
Mhm.
past year. So
It's just reassuring knowing that they're coming back. Love hearing that.
yeah.
I'm fast forwarding a couple of years from now. We're doing a catch up here on Loop TV.
Mm.
What are we talking about? Where's LineLeap in 2 years?
So we've kind of started with the college market, given that we feel like it's a place where we can go. We have a playbook and we get customers so quickly on the app, but we really want to be in every venue, specifically the high volume venues. And then from a brand perspective, that fun faster, we see LineLeap working at festivals, anywhere, stadiums, anywhere where customers are having fun. I think that association with LineLeap has felt very powerful, and even just the brand growing this year. It's really exciting starting with colleges because the clientele has a lot of energy and loves to have fun.
It's the pickup line. You go to a sporting event, and instead of
Mhm.
standing 15 deep, you just order at your seat. You walk up, you show the
Yeah,
pickup line, right? That would be the idea.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Amazing. I thought I'd missed the window on this. Turns out I am going to be a customer. Look forward to available in the App Store, I believe, in Google Store as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Patrick, thanks for finding ways to create some revenue out of thin air and making our lives when we go out a little bit more fun. On behalf of Patrick, on behalf of Leapline and Gene and Loop TV, bye for now.